Alright everyone, Adam here. So today's topic is why diets fail. Why do people always fall off of diets? And the answer is that it's because many diets are not set up to succeed. In fact, what tends to succeed is still what we would call a diet, but it often breaks, out of what normal people think of as a diet mentality. Normally, people think of diets and they think of, oh, I'm going to go on an eating plan for some period of time, that's going to get me the results I want, and then I'll be done. And the problem is that that's not the way bodily changes work as a result of your diet. You shouldn't just be thinking in that short term. You shouldn't just be thinking, I'm going to have this diet and then I'm going to be done. And the problem is that because people have that mentality, they can try all sorts of extremely ridiculous, unsustainable eating patterns, and then they see a little bit of results, and then they drop off, and then they, shoot right back to where they were as soon as they start eating like they, used to. The emphasis on learning how to diet should not be on following some strict dietary plan, but it should be about learning how to change your dietary habits and actually start, from bottom up, completely changing the way you think about food, the way you eat, what you eat, how you eat, etc. So, we have a lot of data that shows that basically most people fail their diets within about 6 to 8 months. They dip down a little bit, and then they go right back up. And in fact, people who diet do tend to actually gain more weight back on the way up than they had initially. So actually, people who don't diet are often better off than people who try to diet and fail, just like that. And the thing, too, is that I can't remember where I heard this, but there was a really good statistic that was like, about every 18 months, people will, on average, who are interested in this sort of thing, will buy a new diet book. So basically, they'll buy a diet book, it'll work for 6 months, they'll stop doing it because it's unsustainable, and then they'll, they'll lose interest, it'll stop working for them, or they'll lose interest or whatever, they'll fall off, they'll start regaining weight, and then they'll get back to their original weight, and they go, oh man, I need a diet again, I need something that'll work for me, and they'll buy a new one, and they'll follow that. And the problem is that sort of diet, swinging diet cycle is not good for you. It's not actually good for you. It's much better to actually make small, long-term changes to your diet, small incremental changes, and then from there, you basically work your way, you work your way down slowly. It's better to make these slow, sustainable, long-term changes than to focus on these short-term, I just want to see my weight drop for a little bit, because that's actually usually not healthy. And this happens, and again, this happens all the time. Like, this happens basically across, this happens across all levels. Like, there, even pros who think that they're super good at dieting follow the same pattern where they go down a little bit and then they bump back up. And oftentimes fitness pros, or they have some kind of competition cycle, some kind of schedule in mind, so that they can actually take advantage of that, and they purposefully play into that rather than being surprised when it happens. But that's why all diets basically work and basically don't work at the same time. They all seem like they work because they do work if you actually follow them. But the problem is that a lot of them overlook the psychology of eating. They overlook what healthy dietary patterns actually look like. So what they do is they just force you to restrict your calories, in some way or another, in a way that's unsustainable. And it works for a little while because you can stick to it for a little while. But then, again, you fall off. And these diet books are not usually geared towards teaching you that. They're not about, pointing out to you that that's exactly what's going to happen with your diet. They're not going to say, hey, this diet is going to work for you for 6 months, and then you're going to fall off, and then you're going to regain your weight. Nobody wants to hear that, because they want to buy a diet, you don't want to buy a diet book that says, hey, this isn't going to work. You want that confidence. You want something that says, hey, this is going to be the plan for you, even if it doesn't fucking end up working. So it's silly, it's really silly that this is, and the whole diet industry is often premised on this, is they'll give you some diet, and they'll say, this totally works, it totally does, we swear, and then again, it'll work for a little bit, like all diets do, and then it'll stop working, like all diets do. And, is the answer to this to, you know, say, okay, diets are pointless and I should never diet again. Well, yeah, again, in the sense that you think of a diet as a very strict pattern of eating that you follow for a set period of time. That's not something that you want to do. Instead, again, you should be focusing on trying to make sustainable long-term changes. You should be focusing on trying to substitute one thing for another very slowly until you've gotten to a point where you're eating a pretty solid, healthy diet. You're restricting your calories, you're eating enough protein, you're getting in your fiber, you're getting enough greens, you know, and mostly home-cooked foods, minimal fast foods, minimal processing. That's a good diet. That's always a good diet. No matter, you know, like, it doesn't matter what you eat. As long as you follow those rules, that's a good diet. And you're going to lose some weight. And yeah, you may not lose a ton of weight, but you're going to be healthier, and that's what matters. Trying to focus on this whole, you know, you need to diet to lose a ton of weight is actually often bad for you in the long run. It's often actually worse than if you just had done nothing at all. So, I don't think that you should try to diet in the sense that you think about picking up a diet and starting a diet and doing a diet. Instead, you should focus on making these habit changes and sticking with them in the long run. And yeah, that is a change to your diet. That is a diet. But it's not the way most people think of a diet. You know, it's not adopting a bizarre set of rules like, you know, eating only cabbage or, you know, paleo or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you need to make those long-term changes, and you need to stick with them. That's what matters. And it is absolutely possible to lose weight and keep it off like that. It may not be as drastic as you could get with one of those crash diets, because, again, those crash diets aren't sustainable and aren't designed to, you know, actually allow you to keep that weight off. But if you are actually looking to lose weight, and you actually do want to lose weight, it's not about a diet. It's about changing your diet. It's about changing your habits. It's about picking up a new pattern, a new lifestyle, a completely new way of thinking about things. That's what you should be focusing on. And again, the health and fitness industry, and yeah, admittedly, a lot of these people don't know. They don't realize that that's what they're selling to you because they haven't done the research. They don't actually know that diets don't tend to work. But that's what you're getting sold. You're getting sold this product by people who think that, you know, they're doing some good, or that they're actually helping, when the reality is that they're gonna, you know, give you a recipe just like every other recipe that's gonna work for a little while and it's gonna stop working after a while. That's what happens. So, hope you like that one today. A little bit shorter than usual. I was a little more vehement, if not as long-winded as usual. So, as always, like, comment, share, tell me what you want to see in future videos, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.